Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Channel Islands Fin and Feather Taxidermy, also known as Lunchtime Live. I've been asked many times by people, how do I preserve things? How do I get it prepped for you? I'm going to go over what you need to know about a bird and the process of what you need to do to get a bird to a taxidermist, and get it there with as little damage as possible. So the first thing I usually am asked is, how do I save a bird if I'm going to go hunting? So to save a bird or prep it for transport, for preservation, what you do is, obviously you're going to want to handle it as little as possible. You want to take it and actually take the bill of the bird, tuck it under a wing, put it in either a trash bag, a shopping bag, a Ziploc. You could use paper, but it's not preferred, and stick it in the freezer. What do I need to bring with me, info-wise, and so on and so forth, to check a bird in? Pretty much bring a California ID or your ID, driver's license, a picture ID. Bring your hunting license as well. I'll need the Go ID number off of that. And then we'll fill out some paperwork, get you a copy of it, and you'll be all set. It's typically a deposit, because some people will drop off a bird and then never come back or call you. And so it's usually a deposit, your info, and a picture ID. Another question I'm also asked, and quite a bit, is how do I pick a pose? Do you have somewhere where I can go look at different poses that you do in particular? And what I recommend to people is go online and look at actual pictures of live birds. Don't go grab other taxidermy work and other mounts from other taxidermists, because taxidermy is an interpretation of what is there naturally. And you know, here at Channel Islands Fin and Feather and at Channel Islands Replicas, our goal is to be anatomically correct and be point on. So it's scientifically accurate and anatomically correct is what the slogan is. So if you go and you look at a mount from someone else, that's their interpretation of it. So if you got a flying bird like this here and the wings are too far back or too far forward, they're not anatomically correct. If you bring me a picture, then I'm going to have to pick that up and make the alterations. That's not a problem for a good taxidermist. If you're going to somebody that's not been doing birds a long time, they could repeat the same mistake. So I always recommend get pictures of live birds, pick a pose that you want to do. And also, you know, it's just a matter of personal preference. You may want to recreate that moment of impact, as I call it, the moment that you harvested that bird. So another question is, how long does it take? And this is one that everybody asks. How long does it take for me to get my bird back? Depending on the taxidermist you're taking it to, depending on their workload. Usually, for me personally, I tell people anywhere from 4 to 8 months, or possibly 6 to 12 months, depending on the time of year that they bring it in. I know what my workload is, my travel schedule, my filming schedule is, and stuff like that. So it varies, but typically I tell people 4 to 8 months, sometimes 6 months to a year. One of the most important questions I'm ever asked as a taxidermist is, how do I tell, this is the hunter speaking, how can I tell whether this is a good enough specimen worthy of trying to bring in and pay to get it mounted? Well, first off, you want to spread the wings. You want to make sure all your feathers are intact. And what I mean by that is your primaries and your secondaries. Okay, these and these, and so there's, you know, all different ones. If you have a split in that quill right there, you know, and it's a busted feather, there, you know, it can be replaced. But you want to try to get as perfect of a specimen as you can, because the better the specimen, the better the outcome of the mount. So you also want to kind of look between the feathers, especially in here, and you'll see little feathers that aren't fully developed. There's a little sheath that's right at the base of those. Those are called pin feathers because they're in the process of coming back out. And depending on the time of year, opening day of season, not necessarily the best time to choose a bird to get mounted, because it's got a lot of pin feathers. What happens with the pin feathers is during the washing process and during the mounting process, those feathers will come out. And then if you're missing feathers, you know, your feathers aren't going to sit right, and it's, you know, you can't stack the feathers proper with missing feathers, is my point. You can hide it, you can change the pose to it. So if it's a very special bird to you, say your first bird, I can get it done. It may not be at the level that I want it to be at, but if you want it done, we may have to change from a flyer. Like if you've got blown out feathers on the wings, I recommend a standing feather or a standing mount, because it'll hide the feathers, so on and so forth. So it's you know, and here we go with a standard. You know, you got no clue that there's actually 3 feathers in there at the center part of the wing or towards the body. There was a couple blown out feathers. Well, you know, I don't remove the feathers. I try to repair them with the process. You can actually glue the quills together. From my experience, it's not good to do when they're exposed feathers, but if they're hidden, it wouldn't matter. So, you know, and what I mean by stacking the feathers is these things are like roof shingles. They stack in a certain order, and if you don't have it the right way, it's just not going to look right. So I would say those are the top 5 questions I'm asked. Those are the answers I've got for you. So thanks for tuning in for another edition of Channel Islands Fin and Feather Lunchtime Live, and I appreciate you coming in and stopping by, and thanks for taking a peek at what I do. So bonus question, I'm not gonna just pass this one up. I'm asked this one all the time. Can I keep the meat from my mount? The answer is, from this particular taxidermist, no. Reason being is once you bring it to me, it's frozen, and when I thaw it out, I'm thawing it out in ammonia water, and I'm not gonna turn around and put meat in ammonia and eat it myself, so I sure as heck wouldn't turn around and give it to a customer. So that's your bonus question.